Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Scaling with SaaS. I am your host and founder of Invincible Media, and this week we have Samee Bhatti of Zebra Solutions. Samee, welcome to the show. Talk to us about who you are and talk to us about Zebra.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, all right. So, the accent comes from Canada. I'm, born and raised there. And then basically my whole career has been in technology development for the most part or somewhat adjacent to it. Started out in fintech. So, this is back in the day. I was, around the turn of the century. I was living in New York, where most of my extended family is from, and working on technology to interface with the NASDAQ back in the day when being able to trade stocks online was like new and exciting. So I had a pretty minor role in that, but I was pretty connected with the founders of the company and all that. So I was maybe had a peek into things that my position didn't really open me up to, but I got some good experience there, and that's where it sort of opened my eyes to the world of technology development. So I dove in headfirst with that. And over the next, probably 10 to 12 years after that, lived in New York, I lived in Dubai, Australia, Fiji, Turks and Caicos, Thailand for a stretch, and eventually the UK. And I'm probably missing a couple of places there. But as you can see, I always sort of looked for an opportunity that would allow me to work, but take me on a bit of an adventure as well. And so I was mainly developing tech for finance, but I sort of hit I don't know if burnout is the right word, but I hit a point where I kind of got a little bit bored with what I was doing, and I felt like I was just sort of, I don't know, maybe not making a great impact in the world. So I did what a lot of people do, and I went off traveling, and I became a little arty, and I learned about design and being a tech head. That kind of led me to dive into all the technology that allows you to create cool art online, and that led me into marketing. And then when eventually I wanted to come back full time to the corporate world, I came back with a blend of technology and digital marketing skills. And so my last few roles have basically been like a CTO and CMO joint role, or head of tech, head of marketing, something similar to that. And so I guess the important part, though, is that I should talk about where I'm at now, which is about 4 or 5 years ago. I was working for a fairly successful entrepreneur. He had a couple of different businesses, and one of them was in the iGaming space. And if you're not familiar with iGaming, it's just kind of a nice way to say online gambling. So he had his own brand, and he was building his own technology to support that. And so he brought me into the mix, and I got hooked instantly. Not on it, which is funny because I didn't get hooked.
Not on the gaming software, I must
No,
say.
no, exactly. It was on the industry itself. I was surprised, I guess, at how complex it was. And coming from a fintech background, and I didn't mention it, but in between, I'd been working on e-commerce solutions, combining AI into it 10 years ago before AI was kind of a thing. And so I felt like going into iGaming would be a slightly less complex area where I would be able to wrap my head around it pretty quickly and start contributing.
So it seems like a natural fit there, Samee.
Yeah.
With your background. I mean, it must have blended easily.
Oh yeah, yeah. Really, for me, it made perfect sense. I had even like I had a gap year as well, which I didn't mention, working in a land-based casino as a croupier.
Talk about defining your ICP and validating it. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. So it was always in the brain a little bit. And so when I got this perfect blend, I dove in, and I was just amazed by how many third parties you have to deal with, how many different integrations there are, and just how complex a simple site like that actually is.
So was that the light bulb moment then, Samee?
So yeah, I've got a pretty clear answer for that one actually. Also didn't mention it, but around 2016, 2017, like a lot of tech nerds, I got interested in crypto. And so I started to follow that closely and buy little bits here and there, but I was actually more active with it. I wasn't necessarily a person that was just buying and holding. I was actually trying to see what I could do with it. And I was trading it and trying to spend it, in places where I could. The iGaming space in the last 3 to 5 years, I guess, has also married itself to crypto quite closely.
Yeah,
And
cool.
so that's become, when I first became aware of iGaming, crypto was like 5% of the market. Now it's estimated to be about 30% of the market. And so with the crypto background that I had, and along with my tech skills, the entrepreneur that I worked for, he was initiating like a very crypto specific project. So it spoke exactly to me on another level as well. And so it really allowed me to take all my interests and knowledge and combine them into one thing. And
Fantastic.
so for me, it was a slam dunk.
Fantastic. That's really cool how that all kind of worked out. I mean, obviously, I've come from, I was a sales director for merchant services business for a large UK bank. And I remember any leads that would come through for any sort of online casinos, gaming, PCP stuff, I was like, oh no, can't do it because we're just not a fit. So I can see why crypto is so attractive as a payment solution for
Mhm.
lots of these platforms. What about the breakaway into Zebra? How did that come about?
Yeah. Okay. So the I was working for this entrepreneur here in Montenegro, and he had businesses in the UK and here. And, through my exposure to the market over here, I actually, I talked about how beautiful the landscape is, but I really would be remiss if I didn't talk about the people.
Yeah.
I was quite surprised when I came here in that not to be snobby or something, but I kind of expected that I would at least have to change my language, that I wouldn't necessarily speak to Montenegrin people in the same way that I would speak to you, just on a language barrier type thing. But I've really, in the cases where people are working in a professional setting, I've found that they're smart, they're well educated, they're well spoken, incredibly capable. And when it comes to iGaming in particular, people really understand betting around here because there's a bet shop every 20 meters when you're walking down the street. It's just part of the culture that people will go in and place a little bet on the football match or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So it's a natural spot to recruit talent for this type of business. And so when I first came out here, I've always operated through my own business, which was so I established one here in Montenegro. Yeah, very very quickly I got connected with a handful of other pair partners that were just perfect for me. Like
Hmm.
I've got like an executive who's been on the highest levels of the iGaming space, and CEO and a CCO at tier one organizations. Then I've got an operations guy who just understands this industry inside and out. Been at all the summits. He's got the network. He's got the connections. He knows how to do things. And then I've got another guy on my team who is actually I was supposed to be the tech head. And when this guy joined, his knowledge and skills are just so far above mine that I'm like, listen,
Yeah.
I like to talk. You do the tech. I'm gonna focus more on business development. And
That's good.
yeah, and so basically that's just where we saw the opportunity with the partners that I met, and then also with the pool of talent that we had around us, and also the ability to operate in Montenegro. It's not terribly expensive to have a nice office and to have people around. So we've got actually a nice headquarters in the capital city. 350 square meter, huge spot that we're still building out. It's actually like kind of a fun spot, but
Okay, let's go back to that moment where you're working for someone else and you say, I don't know in what capacity, whether you're a self-employed consultant or something, or whether you're on the
Mhm,
books maybe, but you go, you know what? I met these really cool people. We're all on the same level. We're on the same journey.
mhm.
I'm gonna break away.
Super glad,
How
thanks.
did all that come about? Because you're working for someone or work with someone, you meet these amazing people. You've got this fantastic network in Montenegro, and you go, that's it. Forget it. Bam. We're making a company. We're going to go after the iGaming space. We've got the personnel. What was the moment?
Yeah, so it really was, the other guys on the squad had approached me and they were like, "Listen,
Ah,
we think we can do this. We think we have a really good opportunity here." And the guy that I was working for is a great guy, and he's always been very supportive of me handling multiple projects. And
yeah.
so I basically posted to him. I was like, "Listen, I spent a year and a half with him, which is longer than I would necessarily like dedicate to like, just one thing and not have anything else going. So I really focused hard on him. I hit the deliverables that I had brought in for. And so I just said, you asked for X, Y, and Z. They've all been delivered. They're all rolling now. I've got people underneath me that have made me, not redundant, but like if I'm to step away from here and we have someone else managing it, the rest of the team knows how to keep it going. So he was super cool about it. And he's like, yeah, I understand. And he's basically the kind of person that would never want to stop people from making more money if they can.
That's a great mindset, isn't it? That's a great
Yeah.
entrepreneur mindset. Good
Yeah.
stuff, Matt. You've got this amazing team, right? You've come up with your branding, your value proposition, you've got your ICP, right? Boom. Okay. So what were the early days like then? Was this quite easy, or did you guys struggle a bit to get out there?
I mean, like, I wouldn't even say that we're totally out of the early days completely, but I would say I'll break down the early days into like a couple of phases. Like initially, of course, super fun, right? You've got the adrenaline, everything's new, right? You're getting the website and the domain and the branding, and you're getting the office, and we're hiring people, and it's super fun, right? And we actually like bootstrapped to start, but we had a good pool to work with, so we were feeling like we've got some freedom to do the things that we wanted to do. Yeah, yeah. So it was great, and like we had a couple of strong leads, when we first got going. So we thought, okay, income for the business will come in pretty soon, and it did uh, initially, and so we kind of had enough to cover things and pay the bills and whatnot, but not really generating a lot of funds. And then you kind of hit this moment where like the adrenaline has worn off a little bit. You've all been working 7 days a week for 2 3 months, answering messages at whatever time because you're all so fired up. And I would say like as a team, we all kind of hit a wall. together. And we knew that due to the how important it is to put in efforts early on in a business, we couldn't all just be like, all right, someone, we need to take a break. So we actually staggered it so that we would let one person take a few days off, and we were pretty strict about if they were to drop in for a message or something and be like, hey man, don't talk to us. It's not that we don't love you, but just don't talk to us, because
Oh,
yeah, we're gonna need your fresh brain when you come back. And I think that was a key thing in helping us recharge our batteries. And then, since then we've managed to have some, good luck or good opportunities, or however you want to put it. And so, yeah, now the trajectory has sort of gone from flat to back on the upward track. And
that's
yeah,
one thing that would work with any business, I can gather. So
yeah, you gotta give people the time to recharge their batteries, and then come back with a full effort. Like sometimes it's slowing down to speed up.
yeah, we're always better after a rest, reflection, and some fresh ideas and stuff. So look, what about key milestones and big wins, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. In fact, like before I move on to that, I just wanted to make one more point, just maybe for the listening audience, because it'll take you a little bit outside of just iGaming specifically. But, I was talking about this early stage in the grind. I've been through a few startups, and when we were hitting that wall, you get to this point where you're like, I've been working so hard for 2 to 3 months, and like I've accomplished nothing. I've barely moved the needle. Nothing has happened. You feel like, what was all that effort for? I'm telling you, if you guys were working hard and you're actually, you know, doing the right things, and you feel like you're doing the right things, there will be a week or two where every day it's bang, 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 big milestone after big milestone. And you're like, that's what I was doing for the last 2, 3 months. This wouldn't have been possible if I hadn't set all that up. Right.
Good tip,
Yeah,
yeah,
for
because
sure.
there's lots of different people tuning in. They're all on different journeys. You got some people that are still within a day job, and they've got this wonderful idea, and they're wondering, they're just trying to find the balls to move away and take the big risks. You've got some people who are at the startup phase, bootstrapping. You've got people that are going through VC funding and cacking their pants. Just to continue on this theme, biggest lessons learned.
Yeah, I mean, I would say number one is be selective with your partners and co-founders, right? If that's the stage you're getting at when you're launching a startup, because as I was saying, that adrenaline phase at first will make everything seem rosy. If
Yeah.
there's a little bit of a disagreement here or there or whatnot, you're like, don't worry, we're all working together, we're all working hard. I would say like just be very mindful about the dynamic within the group, and how well you guys all work together, and your conflict resolution, I think, is absolutely critical. So if there's an issue between people, how do you come together to resolve things? How are decisions made? That all needs to be defined. And I think another key lesson learned as well is in the beginning, depending on the size of your team, a lot of your team members will be wearing multiple hats. So even if you have one title, you might be helping out in different areas or different departments. And while that's great and necessary in most cases, I think it's important to still define the job roles so that we know what people are doing within their position and outside of their position as well.
And sometimes as founders, we're guilty of not wanting to let the control go. Why not
Big time.
do it this way? I do it that way. I've got to make that sales call notice for me. And it's like, dude, you're going to burn out, right? Trust me with this position. That's your remit. This is my remit, especially when things start calming down and the roles play into themselves. So great analogy, because a business partner, it's like having a personal partner.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, no worries.
So look, man, we're obviously have a growth mindset. The channel is called Scaling with SaaS, right? You want to know what's working, right? So how are you standing out in this market? I don't know how competitive this market is. I'm going to take a look, but assuming it is, because nothing is not competitive these days. I mean, there's not many first to markets, but I mean, how are you standing out in the iGaming industry with doing what you're doing?
Well, I've got a couple answers for that. So number one is, like you mentioned, our website and our branding. It's quite different from what you would see from other iGaming companies. I think it's quite different from what you would see from any company, really.
Sammy, it's memorable. It really is.
And honestly, I like it really. I love to hear that, man. That's great. And our designers are going to be super thrilled actually when they hear this. So that's fantastic. But like, in fact, like I should say too that like the whole vibe of our brand, by the way, it wasn't just like we got an agency. We sat down with a design team and we're like, listen, this is who we are. This is our vibe. This is the way that we want to come across. And then a lot of that copy, it was like the founders going through it and saying, no, okay, this is our copy. All right, we'll write the line the way that we want. And I guess my whole point of this is you can pick a cool style or whatever, but it's got to be authentic,
Yeah.
right? You just got to keep it real on that side.
Good stuff. It is, and like I said, it's memorable. I mean, it is such a crowded place out there now, and our attention spans are so low.
Mhm.
But even just, it could be just an interesting headline that just like, oh my God, that's my pain point. That resonates. But talk to me about your own growth and acquisition. What's working well for you now?
Okay,
Right.
yeah, cool. Well, yeah, these are yeah, like, like also to get back to, I guess, a similar answer into like how we stand out. So like a couple of things that we do, like one of them is we always have a presence at the major conferences, at least in Europe, right?
Mm.
So we make sure that our faces are seen, right? And especially in this digital space, this is in fact like another great lesson. It's got nothing to do with specifically iGaming, but just the value of meeting someone in person, shaking their hand, having a cup of coffee is the difference between signing a deal and not signing a deal.
Right? We all forget that. It's so easy to jump onto a Zoom now and pitch, 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 pitch. And it's like, dude, this is a real person. Shake his hand.
Hmm.
Do you like football? Do you like food? Do you like music? Travel? Yeah. So we'll talk about business again. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, press the flesh. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So we put a big emphasis on that. We always have room in the budget to send at least a couple of people out there so that, Zebra Solutions is seen, and also like, just on a personal level that we can relate to folks and grow our network, and which has been the number one driver for us bringing in new business is really like just through our network. And then other ways that we stand out as well is things like this. We're taking on speaking engagements whenever we can. Didn't mention it to you before, but we're also launching our own podcast. We've got a couple of episodes in the books, and it's mainly, to be totally real, to establish ourselves as thought leaders in the industry.
Absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
want we want to help out people.
Sammy, we get it. It's one of the reasons why we're doing this as well. And I think it's such a fantastic approach. So yeah,
Mhm.
good for it, man. Go for it.
Yeah, in this space in particular, it's not very saturated. There's three or four, iGaming podcasts that are out there, and we're keeping it very niche down. So if you're not into iGaming, you might not find it that interesting. But
Okay,
we're
put it coming on, but never mind. Never mind.
Hey man, listen, let's put a pin in that one because we definitely like to have you on and have a discussion about how your techniques can relate to what we're doing in iGaming, right? Because this is what you do as well. Is like what we're trying to do is scale our business, and that's your specialty.
Awesome. So look, you got the trade shows. That's a mainstay. You're now starting to produce your own video content, the podcast and stuff. What about just like what about your online stuff, your online?
So that's actually something that we're about to launch now. We've like with the podcast, so it'll be in day after tomorrow. Actually, the first episode will drop, and then that will be accompanied by LinkedIn posts. And we're planning on actually there is like the spray and pray idea of getting it out to on Twitter and or X or Instagram or Facebook or whatever. But I think we're gonna, because iGaming is such a niche, and we're a niche of a niche. We've and quite frankly, we're not looking to take on 1,000 new clients. We want like 4 or 5 at the moment. And so we feel like we're going to go like with a more targeted approach and a little bit more of a sniper angle from LinkedIn and go with the sort of the Gary V. I don't know if you're familiar with Gary V, but
Yeah,
sort of,
it's in everyone. Yeah, go for
yeah.
it.
So
Makes sense. I love.
he's got that jab, 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 right hook or left hook. I forget which one it is. And so we'll probably go with that approach. So, we'll give you 3 or 4 posts that'll just be out there providing some value. And then in one of them, we'll say, hey, you can also get that value from Zebra Solutions if you want.
True, man. So you mentioned a niche of a niche, right? So again, I'm just trying to, people who are dialing into this, right? I mean, yes, they know what iGaming is now. They know the space, right? But then you've got a niche of a niche.
Right.
What is that vertical?
Right.
That
So in fact, like within iGaming, the way that Zebra Solutions stands out, the way that we position it is we're the crypto experts of the iGaming space. So iGaming itself is pretty niched. And then when you get into like specifically what can you do with crypto in the iGaming space, then it's a small group of people because as you would know, like crypto's been around for a little while now, but there's still not a ton of true experts out there. And then when you get into a niche industry, then there's even less of a pool there. But we're basically selling ourselves as like anything you want to know about crypto when it comes to iGaming, you come to Zebra Solutions. We know how to integrate it. We know how to advise you. We know what the laws are, the compliance side, the technical side of things. So, on ramp, off ramp, whatever people need to discuss, we've got an expert for it in house, not just like a generalist. So we're really trying to own that space going forward.
was good, man. I bet the take-up rate is quite high as well, because obviously, well, why wouldn't it be, right? Because you're circumventing lots of normal payment routes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just giving the user more flexibility. I get it. Cool.
It's not just that too. Just like a small point is that, as I was saying before, when I first got into crypto, I was just trying to find ways to use it, and it's that was in 2017. It's 2025. There's still not a lot of ways to use it, right? Like
When you buy it and sit on it and maybe trade and sell it and stuff, it's like, oh, I wouldn't mind just using this to buy something. Use it on
Exactly.
service or something. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so with iGaming, like now, like players can take any crypto, they can send it to a crypto casino and bet on your sports book and Ethereum or Bitcoin or Ripple or whatever you want, and it's just like a fun use case.
Yeah, yeah, cool. So you're in the online casino. So we're talking, I don't know, we could be talking slots, poker, the sports betting side of things as well.
Yeah, yeah, my favorite part of it, even though it's not.
Yeah, wouldn't be? Wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's usually not the biggest revenue driver. It's usually kind of more of a tool to bring people in because the casino side of things is where the math works out, where you're certain to make funds. Whereas, if you get someone who really knows what they're doing in sports betting, then you can be taking a little bit of a loss there. But it's like one of the things that really helps me with my job is I also like to like a punt every now and then and get on and place bet on some sports. I'm certainly not like some big VIP, but if Wimbledon's going on, I'll be looking at some live tennis matches and trying to jump in and out. So I understand the product as well, and I enjoy using it responsibly.
Course. Good, good. Well, look, what are the goals for 2025 then, Sammy? You mentioned you want to take a handful of new clients on that are
Mhm.
within that niche. I mean, what looks like success for you fast forward end of the year, or maybe this time next year? It depends when sort of, your financial ends. But look, what are the goals for 2025?
Yeah, well, we have a couple of specific ones actually. One of them is like we're developing some technology for two different projects basically. I can't totally give it away, but like
I know everybody says the same thing, and that's fine.
in fact, I'm not a person that tries to protect secrets or really good ideas because everyone has great ideas, right? Doing them is the hard part. So if someone else wants to do it, fine, right? But we're basically working on a tool for risk management, where with the idea of course, with injecting AI into it, so that a lot of the logistics and the very difficult things to spot that are untoward that are going on in your site are the things that we're specializing in to pull out. So this is another thing that really takes like some experience and some proprietary knowledge of these platforms and how they work and how people are potentially trying to game them and cover up, that nefarious activity. So we're working with, and the reason why I'm a little bit cagey is because we're working with an AI development company who is very protective of these types of things.
Sounds interesting. Sounds as if there's a genuine need and an issue there as well. Anything to do with risk management and compliance, and I suppose everybody just shits a brick. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Good shout. Good shout. This goal number one is to get this product, this platform launched, tested,
Yep.
and amongst the masses. Cool. What else?
Yeah. So goal number two is to sign another four clients. I said we've got spot for 4 to 5, but we feel like at this stage in our evolution, we're not trying to compete with the tier ones and the big guys. We're trying to be more of a bespoke service. So if you come to us, we're limiting the number of clients that we're taking. We have a number basically for how much we think the company should make, how much we want to be compensated as founders, and also to take care of our team. There's like a dozen of us on the payroll now, so we need to make sure that everyone is taken care of, and the numbers are a little bit bigger now. So, but at the same time, we want quality clients that that we're not just taking their money. They're bringing something to the table as well, so that we know that when we launch them or we put them up somewhere, that they're going to be successful.
Yeah, good stuff, man. I think that's another great bit of advice because everybody is so keen to bring on revenue, and sometimes you can lose sight of your ICP,
Hmm.
and sometimes things don't work out. It's not the right fit, and it takes a brave soul to end it, doesn't it? And obviously, sort of, I wouldn't say sort of you hinder the reputation, but it's like, look, sorry, we just shouldn't have done this, right? We shouldn't have done this. Expectations are all misaligned and all that sort of stuff. I totally get it. Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So, look, what's goal number three?
Yeah, so I would say the other one is to really increase our official partnerships. So like currently we've got relationships with a few other big iGaming brands. I can name like there's one like Afilka for the affiliate side of things, BetB with the sportsbook. It's like the number one sportsbook out there right now. MoonPay, which is like the go-to on-ramp solution, which means going from regular money, fiat to crypto. So a player can come to your site and just use a credit card and wind up with crypto on their site that they can play with. So we've got like official partners with the or official relationships at least with these companies, so that we're able to work on deals together and profit together. And so we've got a couple of other specific companies that we've targeted that we would like to get these types of agreements with, and then with that, it would really open a lot of doors for us as far as what we could offer our clients.
Sounds good, man. So, is there any gaps or any a certain type of strategic partner you're looking to pull on that would fill a void or would just bolster an offering?
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. I mean, yeah, that's a good question, actually. I mean, really, the ideally for us, it's people that have some experience in this industry. The learning curve is very steep, and we've had several people come to us with fairly deep pockets that wanted to get the ball rolling, and we actually directed them elsewhere. Not, not because we thought they were bad, but we felt like they needed more service than they realized, and they weren't going to get that with us, and for for what they necessarily had budgeted for it or were expecting to pay. And so we actually sent them to larger companies where they're not going to get the same individual attention. And that may or may not work out for them, but
Yeah.
we were pretty frank and said, "Listen, I don't want to take the responsibility of taking your money and then also having to educate you if you're not willing to either bring on people or to engage."
That education piece is key as well. Is there's enough people out there. I want to talk to someone that just gets what we do. They respect what we do. They give us the time. They've got their sort of mental state is higher in a sense.
It reminds me of another good tip for if you're on the business development side of things. And I swear this has not been on purpose, but we've just noticed that pretty much every time, if someone comes to us and we say, listen, you seem great, but not a fit for us, these guys would be good. We're happy to recommend you, even do a preferred partnership. They just want to work with us. After
I
that, once
know
we tell them no, they're like, no, 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 we want to work with you. Please, please, please.
everybody wants what they can't have, and it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
telling me no, no, I want to work with you. Look, and they start pitching you. Then
And
it's a funny old world, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, well, I mean, honestly, that's kind of the mindset that we try to look at it when we're going into a sales call. Is like we're both interviewing each other. This isn't a if you have the money, then we have a deal. It's a or in fact, go right back to what I said about like picking your partners, right? It applies to your clients as well. If you have the luxury of doing it, then try and be as selective as possible and get people that you can work with on a personal level and on a professional level. They know what they're doing.
I get that, man. I mean, if it was a straightforward transaction, fine, buy it off the shelf. Good luck.
Mhm.
One and done. I think from a relationship point of view, especially a results based
Yeah.
offering, like obviously with what we do, we have to be aligned. So I get
Mm.
that. I'm awesome. Love it.
I should say it's not completely benevolent either, by the way, because part of the business model is when we launch people on different brands, that there's a not a huge number, but a revenue share as well. So we take a percentage of their profits, and if so, we factor that in, and we think if these guys are going to be able to come in and really make themselves a lot of money, then that factors in on our bottom line as well. Whereas if they're going to come in there and not do anything, then it's less lucrative for us. So we'll spend our time.
I back that completely. You've got skin in the game. For you to get skin in the game, we give a shit. And we
Mhm.
really do give a shit. We're not just booking time, we're not just booking activity or giving you crappy vanity metrics. No, no, we got some skin in the game, man. We want to make this work. We want to make it work for us as well. So great pricing model. I love this question. If I give you a magic wand, Sammy, right? What would you wave and cast it on to fix that problem or to get there quicker right now?
That's a very good one.
Always a great question, man. I ask myself daily. I'm like Harry Potter. You mean switch? And it's like, look. That's where I need to be. That's where I would fix now to get me there.
Right, well, I hope this isn't a cop out, but I would basically wave a wand and finish all of our technology development. So I would have all these projects that we've got in the pipeline or that are being worked on, and we've got like a couple of major ones that are like 60-70% of the way. And in fact, like that's kind of what's costing us a little bit now is we're building out our own solutions. But in the meantime, we have relationships with other providers that we can push people towards, get a small piece of that either as a introductory fee or as an ongoing rev share. But we're leaving a lot on the table by not having our own stuff.
Good. Well, look, I mean, just to put you on the spot, Sammy, what's stopping you from doing that now? I mean, you're knee deep in dev work, some money on the table. You could be sort of spraying this out to sort of, have some great introductions and getting a sort of a kickback or an affiliate. Stopping you from doing that now?
Really, it's just a matter of being able to afford the development team. Like we've got it mapped out. We know exactly what we need, but there's a couple of specific roles which are very expensive. Which not terrible advice for people. If you have any interest in data, then anything that any title that starts with data right now is very valuable. So we're trying to find a data scientist and a data engineer and we're not even find them. We're just trying to afford them or be able to make it worth their while. So it's really just a money thing at the moment. And so we're also like actively looking for investment, but it's kind of the same thing as with the clients is yes, it'll be helpful if someone gives us a check and we can just pay for all developers. But man, it would be exponentially more valuable if we had someone from this space that understands what we're trying to do, and then could also maybe open some doors on their side, technology wise and relationship wise to drive us forward. So that's, I think the theme of this is like we're just trying to establish good relationships here.
But what are the biggest opportunities you see for yourself? I mean, apart from this software drop, this new risk assessment stuff, what are the biggest opportunities that you see within your industry at the moment that gets you really excited?
Well, if you just look at the projections for the industry overall, it's absolutely insane. Like it's just growing. Compare iGaming to any other industry, like through the pandemic, through any political turmoil, whatever. It's almost like with very little drawbacks. It's pretty much like a straight line up. Like it's going to go exponential on itself. It's projected to be like I think $130 or $130 billion industry in like 3 to 5 years. It's growing like its CAGR is great. It's something like 6.5, 7% a year. So a lot of opportunity. Very bullish on the space, and I think like for me and my crew in particular, I'm just super excited about the fact that I'm managed to partner up with such dynamic individuals that have such wide networks and skills of their own. So I feel like for us, it's about the people. And again, I guess it comes back down to relationships. But we really value obviously the core team, everyone that we've hired. We have like an amazing customer support team. We have like a head of payments who's unbelievable. We have a head of CS that's like just really like handpicked people. Our developers are all people that we've either worked with before or friends of friends. So we're not trying to go far outside the circle here. We want to go with people that we can trust and really be able to sink our teeth in and feel good about rewarding everyone as well.
Great. I love that. And again, it sounds like a booming industry. It's something that I don't know too much about, but I will go knee deep after this and I'll find out a
Mm.
bit more about it. And it sounds really, really interesting stuff.
It's fascinating, man. I mean, like on the crypto side of things, it's actually really driving forward a lot of like Web3 innovation. So it's not just like about fun games and stuff, which it is. It's fun to go to a gaming site as long as you can afford it. You're being responsible with the money that you're spending. You get a nice little rush out of it. And there's all these different gamification tools to make it more interesting for you to stay on there. But it's certainly worth having a look from the outside, even if you're not in it. Because I was honestly shocked at the size and the depth of it.
Yeah, I must admit. I mean, it does seem hyper niche, but I suppose when you start peeling back the layers, the application is amazing. I mean, the opportunities, yeah, that would get me out of bed all day long.
And the money's not niche. Like the numbers that are coming out of this quote unquote small industry is pretty impressive.
It's for real. Yeah. Wow. I mean, look, you've given so many great golden nuggets here, Sammy. Okay. So we're coming towards the end of the episode now, and this is value stacked. It really is. It's like the sort of thing you just gotta go through the transcript, highlight, highlight, highlight. It's just nuts, right? We could create
Nice.
probably 20, 30 different sort of reels just off all the tips you've sprayed out, right? But
Love it.
look, let's go with something obvious, right? So what other advice would you give to other SaaS founders, whether they're in the industry or not? What would be
Mm.
your big tip?
I would say like definitely be well aware of your USP, right? So what is unique about you? What is gonna help you stand out within the industry, and then lean into that as hard as you can, right? So you pick your one thing. What's the one thing that you're amazing at, that you're better than everyone else at, that makes you stand out, and you really lean into that. You market that and you own that. That's yours, right?
Love it. Great. As simple as that. It is as simple as that. Back yourself, promote it, and sort of shout it from the rooftops. I get it. Cool. Is there just anything cool and exciting to share about Zebra Solutions right now?
It's funny because I'm running through my mind like there's like a couple of things that I would like to say, but
Too
because
much
of
going on.
iGaming, we have a number of clients that we've got up and running and operating, but I can't name them. That would sort of break some confidentiality there. But I will say we've got a really solid client that I think we're about to sign, who's will significantly change the trajectory of Zebra if this is what they decide to do. So fingers crossed. Hopefully by the time this drops, this is signed, so that they don't know if I'm not sure about them actually doing it or not.
Don't
Oh,
okay. Yeah, celebrate the big acquisition, the big handshake, the big tender that you put in. Yeah, that moves the needle forward. That pays for the dev. So
mhm.
yeah, celebrate the wins, celebrate the deals all day long.
Yep.
Okay, dude. So look, let's wrap this up now into a nice quick fire round. Okay.
Getting
I
ready.
could keep going all day, but I can't, especially with that view, right? But look, what is the best marketing channel right now for you?
With LinkedIn, it's got to be.
Isn't it just? I mean, isn't it just
Yeah.
open as well? There's so much untapped stuff you can do with it.
Yeah.
But the one tool, apart from LinkedIn, what is the one tool you couldn't live without right now?
Ha. I mean, I think this is a lot of people are going to share this, but for me, pick your AI tool of choice. I go through like a handful of them, but for me, like ChatGPT is a proper game changer. And if it's not for you, I
I don't know
explore
what it is.
some more because it's got to be.
It's a mainstay. It's a mainstay. Oh my God, the amount of tokens that we burn off. I get it, but it is.
Mhm.
We wouldn't be without it, definitely.
Yeah, if I see an AI tool, I have no conscience signing up for it. I don't care what the cost is. I'm like, I need to try. I need to at least try it.
Try. I gotta try. And obviously, we all been on the DeepSeek group, and we've got DeepSeek running on a few other campaigns, and it's class. It really is class. Fantastic. I
Mhm.
love it. Biggest mistake you've learned from? Let's keep this real.
Ooh, that's a good one actually. I would say biggest mistake I've learned from is rushing into something that seemed too good to be true and finding out that it was too good to be true. So I would say in the lesson learned would be to just sleep on things. If you've got an opportunity and it's got to be done right that second, then it's probably not real. So just
Yeah.
chill.
It's
Have,
gonna be there.
yeah,
It's
think, call someone you trust, mull it over, give it a day or two, and that opportunity should still be there for you.
all of those techniques of, the scarcity. No, you got to do it now. You got to do it now, and the deal won't be there tomorrow.
Mm.
It will be. It will be there tomorrow. It'll be fine. And there'll be several other people doing the same deal.
Exactly. Exactly.
Final piece, man. What is the
Mm.
best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Ooh, all right. So it's not something that someone said to me directly, but there's a quote that I like, and it's actually quite funny because I learned it on a basketball podcast, and it was an actor from a TV show who played like this very tough super gangster character, but he was actually a very sweet, introspective guy. And the gist of it was basically people choose to lead. Basically, you can lead with either fear or love, and
Right.
a lot of people choose fear, not realizing that if you choose love, the people under you will fear letting you down. For me, that's the route that I want to take is treating my team and the people that I work with as family. And I'm not trying to say that work is family. They're not, it's not. Work is work, family is family. But every single person that I work with, I think of someone in my family and I think, who is that person to me in my family? And when I treat them a certain way, I treat them in the way that I would that person that I care about. I don't treat them as an employee or someone who's expendable or someone that I pay. It's really about love. And let's all grow together. And I feel like if you lead that way, even if the results maybe even could be better the other way, you're going to feel a whole lot better about yourself and just
Yeah.
you bring a better impact into the world.
Definitely, definitely. That's do you know what? I've got to try and think of condensing that down into like a statement. That is really good. It's quite powerful. And I'm
And
sure we've all worked for a boss or we've been involved within a job or we've seen it firsthand where the fear thing, it doesn't work long term. It's a short term thing and you never get the best from people. And but the love aspect, yeah, I get it. I get it.
it's
We're
people
gonna
need.
type that is gonna be the title of the podcast now. You know this. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And this is the actor's name was Joseph Sikora. I forget the name of the show he was on now, but he was like
Oh, that's a Google.
a King of New York type show, and he was a big gangster guy. And he said, people lead using fear or love, but most don't know that if you're loved, people will fear letting you down.
Fantastic. Isn't that the truth for me? Yeah, very powerful.
Yeah.
Right. Well, do you know what, Sammy? On that note, what a nice way to sort of drop this, right? So look, this has been stuff ramjacked. There's not one pixel left that we
Mhm.
can't any more value into this, right? So, dude, look, thank you so much, right, for the time, right? Let's just give you the floor one last time before we wrap up. Where can people find out more about Zebra Solutions and yourself and your management team?
Right on. Thanks, Johnny. And I want to say thanks for the opportunity. Even this has been a really fun conversation. And before we started recording, I thought we could have released our pre-recording as a
Oh,
conversation.
dude, it's just, but we use those for the outtakes anyway, right? But yeah,
But yeah, as far as Zebra Solutions go, we're based here in Montenegro. You can go to zebrasolutions.me, Zebra Solutions on LinkedIn, and we have our headquarter office in Podgorica, which is the capital city. We have another smaller office here in Tibat, which is at this beautiful bay. We specialize in all types of gaming services, but more specifically crypto. So if you're interested in getting a brand up, if you want managed services, if you need help with compliance, risk management, any aspect of running your iGaming platform, then come to us and we'll either take you on or we'll tell you exactly where to go.
that's fair. You could even be a VC, a strategic partner, somebody that's just highly influential with a crazy black book. You could even be a very talented dev or data scientist. So again, if you're watching this, just reach out to Sammy and his team and get that
Please.
down. We'll be dropping links in the description, so be sure to click watch this to the end because this is rammed. Samee, that's all I gotta say, man. Listen, I'm gonna say goodbye, and I'm just gonna say goodbye to that view. I will have to get out there and grab a beer with you, but for
100%.
now, man, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks so much, Johnny. I really appreciate the time, and I think it's great what you guys are doing at Invincible Media. So really looking forward to seeing you guys shoot up as a rising star as well.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Love that. On that note, guys, we're out. See you later.